The Invincible Warrior. In the ancient kingdom of Aeloria, where emerald forests stretched as far as the eye could see and mountains kissed the sky, there lived a warrior of legendary renown. His name was Kael, and he was known throughout the land as the Invincible Warrior. Tales of his strength, courage, and invulnerability were told in every village, from the bustling capital of Aeloria to the remote hamlets nestled in the hills. Kael had earned his title through countless battles, defending Aeloria from invaders and ensuring peace within its borders. His armor, forged by the finest blacksmiths, gleamed in the sunlight, and his sword, a masterpiece of craftsmanship, was said to be unbreakable. But it was not just his physical prowess that made him invincible, it was his unwavering sense of justice and his unyielding determination to protect the innocent. One fateful day, news reached Aeloria of a dark force rising in the east. A warlord named Draken had gathered an army of ruthless mercenaries and sorcerers, intent on conquering Aeloria and enslaving its people. The king of Aeloria, a wise and just ruler, summoned Kael to the palace and entrusted him with the task of stopping Draken. "Kael," the king said, his voice heavy with concern, "you are our greatest hope. The people believe in you, and so do I. You must defeat Draken and save our kingdom." Kael bowed, his expression resolute. "I will not fail, my king. I will protect Aeloria with my life." With the king's blessing, Kael set out on his journey. He traveled through dense forests and across vast plains, his heart filled with determination. Along the way, he encountered villages ravaged by Draken's forces, their inhabitants living in fear. Kael vowed to bring an end to their suffering and restore peace to the land. As he approached the eastern territories, Kael met a mysterious figure on the road. It was an old woman, her eyes sharp and knowing. She wore a cloak of deep green, and her presence exuded an air of wisdom and power. "Greetings, warrior," she said, her voice both gentle and commanding. "I have been expecting you." Kael, intrigued, dismounted his horse and approached her. "Who are you, and how do you know of my quest?" The old woman smiled. "I am Aeloria, a seer of the ancient ways. I have foreseen your journey and the challenges you will face. Draken is no ordinary foe, he wields dark magic that can turn even the bravest hearts to stone." Kael's grip tightened on his sword. "I will face whatever comes my way. I cannot let fear hold me back." Aeloria nodded approvingly. "Your courage is admirable, but you must also be wise. Take this," she said, handing him a small, intricately carved amulet. "It is a talisman of protection. It will guard your spirit against Draken's dark magic." Kael accepted the talisman and thanked Aeloria. With renewed resolve, he continued his journey, the amulet hanging around his neck. As he drew closer to Draken's stronghold, the air grew thick with tension, and the land bore the scars of battles fought and lives lost. Finally, Kael stood before the gates of Draken's fortress, a formidable structure of black stone and iron. The sky above was dark and foreboding, and the sound of clashing swords and cries of battle echoed from within. Kael took a deep breath, his heart steady, and entered the fortress. Inside, chaos reigned. Draken's mercenaries and sorcerers were locked in combat with the last defenders of Aeloria. Kael fought his way through the throng, his sword flashing like lightning. He was a whirlwind of strength and skill, cutting down his enemies with precision and grace. At the heart of the fortress, Kael found Draken. The warlord was a towering figure, clad in dark armor and wielding a staff that crackled with dark energy. His eyes burned with a malevolent light, and his presence exuded an aura of fear and despair. "Ah, the legendary Kael," Draken sneered, his voice a deep, mocking rumble. "The Invincible Warrior. Do you truly believe you can defeat me?" Kael met Draken's gaze, his own eyes unwavering. "I will defeat you, Draken. For the sake of Aeloria and its people, I will end your reign of terror." Draken laughed, a cold, hollow sound. "We shall see, warrior. We shall see." The battle that followed was fierce and brutal. Draken unleashed wave after wave of dark magic, but Kael's talisman protected him, its light shielding him from the worst of the sorcery. Kael's sword struck true, and he fought with a ferocity that matched Draken's own. As the battle raged, Kael felt a surge of power within him. It was as if the spirits of Aeloria's past warriors were with him, guiding his hand and strengthening his resolve. With a mighty cry, he delivered a final, decisive blow, shattering Draken's staff and piercing the warlord's heart. Draken let out a roar of agony and disbelief before crumpling to the ground. The dark energy that had surrounded him dissipated, and a profound silence fell over the fortress. The remaining mercenaries and sorcerers, seeing their leader defeated, fled in panic. Kael stood over Draken's fallen form, his chest heaving with exertion. The battle was won, but the cost had been great. He knew that rebuilding Aeloria would take time and effort, but he was determined to see it through. With Draken defeated, Kael returned to Eldoria. The king and the people welcomed him as a hero, their savior. They celebrated his victory with feasts and festivities, and the story of the Invincible Warrior who had saved the kingdom spread far and wide. Yet, Kael remained humble, knowing that his strength came not only from his skills but from the courage and support of those who believed in him. He continued to serve Aeloria, not just as a warrior, but as a leader and protector, ensuring that peace and justice prevailed. And so, the legend of Kael, the Invincible Warrior, lived on, a testament to the power of courage, determination, and the unbreakable spirit of a true hero.